Hey everybody, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to make a haunted home scene card today. I've got a lot of really fun supplies that we're going to play with. I have a couple of stamp sets from Chou Flowers. We have the Ambiance one or Ambiance one. We have the Salon one. And then from MFT, my favorite things, we have a bunch of dies that I used here. There's Take a Seat, Decor and More, Potted Plants, Picture Window, and Fundamental Furnishings. I'm not using dies from all of those sets, but that's what we have. I just put them all together because they all work together. And then from Essentials by Ellen, from Hutson, I have Ghost Ancestors. Such a fun set. I love the whole Ghost collection that came out last year. I've got the whole thing because I was just crazy about it. It's so adorable. I will link all of the products that I can below in the description box, as always. There might be a couple of things that you can't get anymore. I don't know if the Ghost Ancestors are still available or not, but ghosts are everywhere right now, right? Lots of companies have ghost stamps. So if you don't have this exact set, I'm sure that if you're a Halloween fan like I am, then you probably have something in your stash that you can use. You can also always just draw a ghost. I wind up embossing the ghost on vellum. You'll see that later. But if you have a VersaMarker, so it's the same VersaMark ink that's in the pad, except it's in a marker form, you can quickly draw your own ghost out and emboss it that way. So that's an option if you don't have a ghost. But I bet, like I said, if you're a Halloween fan, you probably got a ghost in your stash somewhere. So these Chou Flowers stamp sets are really great. I love the hand-drawn look to them. They're imperfect. If you look at the walls and the ceiling lines, they're not perfectly straight, and I really like that about them. I used Gina K's Amalgam ink for all of my stamping for this scene here. I really, really, really need to get a re-inker for this ink pad because mine's pretty dry. I have to keep restamping things, but it's fine. I've been using it quite a bit lately. I love it because you can use it with any medium and you can use it for different mediums at the same time, and you don't have to worry about the images blurring or anything like that. So I added the window and the picture frames to my scene. I love that the scene comes with things that go on the walls in the correct perspective. It's not just a head-on like window or picture frames, whatever, that go only on the back wall and then you have nothing for the side walls. The perspective is already there and it just makes whatever you're working on more dynamic. So now I have my little ghosty and I am stamping it on some vellum. I used VersaMark ink, as I had mentioned earlier. These are the eyes that I'm putting on. I like that the eyes are not part of the ghost stamp itself. So you can put them wherever you want. If you want the ghost to look like it's going to the right or it's going to the left or it's looking directly at you, you can put the eyes wherever you like. And I really like that about this set. I think that that's a really cool thing that they thought of. So I'm using some detail white embossing powder here. I wind up not using this fella. I save him for later. When this happens, I take whatever the stamped image is and I put it into the package with the rest of my stamps just so that I have it for later use. But I find that the white wasn't showing up quite enough. So I wind up switching to black. You'll see that much later on in the video towards the end. I'm just fussy cutting it out. Really don't need dies for this set. I believe that there are dies available, or there were when the set first came out, but the things are pretty straightforward to cut out. So I just did that really quickly, and now he's going to just hang out with me while I make the rest of my card. Look how cute he is on that scene. So now I've got the picture frames, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with them, where they're going to go, how it's going to look with everything else. And I think that they work well with the rest of the scene. We're using two different companies here, and one is super hand-drawn looking, and the other one is a little bit more perfect. But I think it's okay. It works out really well. Here I'm showing you the different dies that I'm going to be working with. And now I have some gel press prints. Some of these are roll-off prints. Some of them are actual prints that were on the plate. I love, love, love using my prints for die cutting, especially the roll-off prints. You can get some really cool effects on your dies when you use roll-off prints. But even with regular, prints that you just like, or maybe they didn't have enough definition for you or whatever, just go through your stuff and like start die cutting them. They come out really cool. And they're things that you're not going to find on regular pattern paper. So I'm cutting out this couch. These are the cushions here, that long piece right there. Those are the cushions for sitting. I had so much fun building these. I have used these MFT dies so much. If you look at my Instagram or you look at my blog, you'll see that I've been using the heck out of them. I'm so glad I made the purchase because they're so much fun to just build rooms with. And I think it worked out really well with the Chou Flowers sets that we've got going on here, as well as the Ellen Hutson sets. I mean, the Ellen Hutson one is obviously very like Halloween. I mean, I'd use it all year, but you guys know how I roll. Halloween is all year for me. But they all work really well together and it makes me happy. So I cut out the legs out of just plain brown cardstock. I also die cut all of the elements out of white cardstock beyond just the gel press prints because I don't always print or roll off onto like heavyweight cardstock. It's typically copy paper, like a good quality copy paper, but copy paper nonetheless. So I wanted to make sure that they had some substance to them because I knew I was going to be moving things around. I didn't want anything to bend. So I am using some Barely Arts glue and attaching all of those pieces together to white cardstock and then to themselves. The legs, I did not need to do that with because they're just on brown cardstock and it's fine. Sometimes what I do, here I'm showing you that to figure out what direction the cushions go, because it's easy to just flip them upside down and have them going the wrong way. You can't see it because of the gel press print, but there are like embossed lines for the arms, and you just follow the diagonal line of the cushion with the embossed line on the couch itself, and you'll have it facing the right way. If it goes opposite, then you've got to just flip it over. Super easy. I've got some W1, W3, and I think it was W5 Copic markers here, and I'm just rough coloring, like super rough. I want to maintain that sketchy, fun, whimsical quality of the rest of the scene, so I am not going crazy here. I'm just adding some color just so that I have, something happening on that floor, and that's it. Really, really quick to do. I mean, obviously this is sped up, but even if I had it going in real time, it didn't take long to do this. I did half the floor first and then the other half for no real reason, but I like to have my markers a little wet still when I'm blending. I'm working on Bristol. I don't think I mentioned that before. I have smooth Bristol cardstock from Strathmore. This is my favorite I'm lying. I'm not working on Bristol. Hold on. Now I need to see. Am I? I am working on Bristol. I'm checking the card, you guys. It's good to have your supplies right in front of you while you're making the video. I am working on Bristol for this. I don't always work on Bristol with Copics. I tend to use Stampendous mixed media paper. It's really not available anymore, and I didn't know how many mediums I was going to be utilizing on this card, so I went with the Bristol because I knew that it would be fine for the Copics, but it's not my favorite because it doesn't blend quite as well. But again, for this effect that I'm going for, it's fine. And you'll see when I'm done with this window, like the panes, it's blended good. Is it perfect? No, but I wasn't going for perfection here. I think that the blends come out just fine on the Strathmore, even though this is not my paper of choice when I'm working with Copics. But you'll see I'll wind up bringing in some watercolors later, and the Bristol is great for that. You could use mixed media paper from Canson. You can use watercolor paper if you want to, although I don't love Copics on watercolor paper personally. Again, so this was a good option. What colors am I using right now? I showed them before. I have B93, I have B97, and B00. And that's what I'm doing for the window. I started off with the B00, and I thought that it was just too light. So I decided to make it more of an evening scene. E25 is my favorite brown. I just love this shade. It's just so pretty. I use that brown the most out of all of them. Like, not just on this card, but like in general. It's just my favorite. Now I have E47 and super, super rough, like faux wood grain. Just very, very sketchy. just a couple of lines here and there just to make it look like wood. And I wind up using that combo for all of the frames on the entire card, including the ghost pictures, including the light that I've now got stuck to my hand and is moving around as I'm coloring this. But it's a really nice combo. It works out really well. So what do you do with these picture frames here on the side? You got to do something with them, right? What am I doing with the E59? I'm adding a little bit more shading. Just a touch. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm drawing a tree. That's where I was going. Guys, I filmed this video last week after I was coming off of my anesthesia. So I've forgotten the order of things. Forgive me. So we need to do something with these pictures, and I wanted it to tie into our little ghosty theme and Halloween. So I'm making a little fall tree here. Super easy. You don't need to go crazy with this. Don't come at me and be like, well, I can't draw it. Look at that tree. And think about what Bob Ross would tell you, right? He would be like, just make a happy little tree and you'll be good to go. So that's what I'm doing. So for the next one, I believe I'm going to make, I'm doing the ground now. Look how cute that little picture is. That's so fun. And it'll go really well with the other pictures that we have going on in here. So now I'm drawing another ghost because we've got like a long lost cousin that wasn't in the other family photos that we'll be stamping on here later. So I drew another ghost on here, or maybe it's the ghost that's actually going to be in the scene. I don't know. I didn't ask. And for the last one, I'm doing a little spider web. I'm using a Sipa pen. Sipa, I think it's Sipa. I cannot locate this pen online anymore. Whatever you've got at home, use that. Maybe you've got a Micron, maybe you've got a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, whatever you got, use that. So now my little pictures are all done. I've got my Koi watercolors from Sakura. I really love this palette. It's tiny, it's super portable. It comes with a palette that you can mess around with. And all I'm using is that one peachy tone. That's it. We don't need anything else. I've got my Princeton Snap round size 10 brush, and I'm going to just have at it with those walls. I got kind of a stucco effect, which I really like. I wanted it super brushy and kind of textured. Again, we're not going for perfection. The way the Chou and Flowers stamp sets are drawn helped me decide what direction I was going with everything else. So imperfect, washes of color, textural, whimsical, and that's exactly what we wind up with at the end. So I'm doing just, if you are a watercolorist, you are probably cringing right now at the way I'm doing this, but it's okay. In the end, it looks really cute. I like that there's different values of this tone in there. Some areas I went over quite a bit. Some I kept super pale. Not going for perfection. I cannot stress this enough. And if you don't have these particular watercolors, it's okay. Grab what you've got and just go for it. So now I am doing this back wall. And as I was painting this, I was like, oh snap, I did not put my other two frames on here. But it's all right because I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted them to go. So I decided that it was fine. I'm going to just stamp them on separate pieces of paper anyway, color them in, cut them out, and then I have the ability to shift them around as necessary. Here's something. Flip your paper around to make it work for you. Don't get stuck in one direction for anything. If you're coloring, painting, whatever, don't be afraid to flip stuff over. It'll be fine. You can flip it back. I know that some people struggle and like they don't move their paper around. It's like, just move it. It's okay. There are no police that are going to come after you because you flipped your paper around. So now I've got some more Bristol, more Amalgam ink, stamping these ghosties down on there, and I'm going to color them in with the same shades of Copics that I used for pretty much everything else. So I didn't pull in any new colors. Everything else is the same. Yeah, everything that I used on these two frames is what I've already used. There's nothing new here. Starting off with the grass. I'm not even shading, you guys, which was a little difficult for me because I love to shade things, but they're so small and everything else is so not shaded, I guess, that it's fine. It's totally fine. Seriously, how cute is this little scene? Isn't that adorable? I love that. I love this stamp set. I really do. Oh, this is a new color. This one I didn't use before. I needed something different for the house. This is BV23. Shading the little ghostie a little bit. Shading the other ghosties. Got some wainscoting in this one. I'm going to add some of that blue that I used for the window panes before. Some gray for the top. They're just so fun. I have such a good time with this stuff. And I have not used this Chou Flowers stamps enough. I've had them for, I don't know, over a year at this point, and I really haven't gotten to play with them too much. I have plenty of ideas, but this was a good opportunity to make something fun and Halloween-y without it being crazy scary or anything like that. I've been doing a lot of cutesy stuff this year. I need to splatter some fake blood somewhere because I haven't done that at all this year. And that's something I'm kind of known for if you have, followed me for a while. Adding some of that faux wood graining to the frames. You can see I'm just drawing some lines. Nothing crazy. Not straight lines. I'm kind of waving them a little bit, overlapping here and there. But we just want to have like a faux wood grain, just like we do on all of the other frames throughout the piece. Here's the gray that we're adding to the wainscoting. Actually, this is paneling. The paneling is at the top as opposed to the bottom. Got a nice little chair rail there. I'm not really into chair rails personally. They're a little formal, but that's okay. Here we go. We've got them all cut out. Now, again, I don't have dies for this, so I was not about to mess around with those squiggly bits, so I just cut them. And you can see that I have replaced my ghost with a ghost that has been embossed with black. I cut out the blanket. So you saw that there for a moment. And that was done with pattern paper that has super teeny tiny Halloween icons on them. It's from like a really old die cuts with a view tag, and it's adorable. Here I'm taking that same sepia pen, again, use what you have, and I'm just drawing a loose outline on there because I felt like it wasn't standing out enough because everything else has that black loose outline, and that really needed it too. I've got some cacti and a little pot that it's sitting in, and a tiny table, and those are all from the same MFT dies that I showed at the beginning of the video. So I've got the blanket here. I'm telling you, these dies are perfect for using up gel press prints, pattern paper, whatever you've got laying around, whatever scraps you have, just use them on this stuff because they are just so fun. So fun. One of my favorite purchases in the past few years for sure. So here I am adhering down the table for my little cacti because the ghost needs a buddy, and the ghost chose this cactus because there are other plants in these die sets. But the shape of that cactus looks kind of like the ghost in my mind. So that's why I chose that as opposed to one of the other things. There's like a snake plant and there's a monstera plant, but I was like, no, we're going with the cactus because it's perfect. It looks like a green version of our little ghosty friend. And now I have that sentiment that says a haunted home is a happy home. I mean, come on, that's totally true, right? And my lights are still not stamped. Eventually I'll get to those. We're going to do our sentiment first. I thought that was really appropriate because, when people have like those wood signs that they hang that says, blessed is this home or whatever, I thought that kind of reminded me of that, which I thought was hilarious. Do you have those signs hanging in your house? I have a couple of signs. One says, always kiss me goodnight. And then the other one is about like rules of the house, but like really sweet things like dream big and always say I love you and hug each other, stuff like that, right? It's cute. Anyway, so now I have finally stamped the lights, and you might be saying, well, but you can see that wall through there. Ah, but my friends, I have a remedy for that, and it will be very nice, I promise. I'm gluing down the pictures, and the original round picture has like string and a faux nail that it's hanging from, and I decided that I really liked that. So I'm drawing it in because, again, I was not about to cut that out with my scissors because I would have lost my mind. So I added that in. I think it looks really cute. So now I have my Uni-ball Signo white gel pen, and I am going to give these little lamps, which again reminds me of the shape of the ghost. So I thought it was adorable. I'm going to give them like a frosted glass look. So you'll be able to see a bit of that peachy tone, but it'll look like glass because we've got that white on top and it just softens the color. And, you know, I think it works out. Looks really cute. Going back in with those browns that I used earlier to finish off that lighting piece. The coloring on this is really fast and easy. I promise you, if you're a newbie at coloring, you can totally do this. So now we have to figure out where we're putting our ghost. And again, this is vellum, so we have to be super careful with where we're applying our glue. And I wanted him to kind of have a floaty look, so I didn't want a lot of glue on him. I'm tapping off a lot of the excess on a paper towel, and then I'm just sticking him down. I want him to look like he's floating, so I don't want him tacked down completely. And now we have our white card base. This is a 5x7 card. I don't think I mentioned that. I made a big card today because that main Chou and Flowers stamp is quite large, and I didn't want to reduce my scene so much to an A2 sized card. So this is a 5x7, which is a size that I don't work with very often, but for something like this, I really enjoy it because I have so much room to play around. I have Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I am using my blending brush to apply the color softly around the edges. I went a little heavier after I looked at it this first time because I was like, meh. I could have probably gone with the Copic, the Carib Cocoa, the one that I said was my favorite. What is that, E25? But I didn't want it to bleed through my cardstock, so I opted to just go with the Vintage Photo. And I didn't want to apply it directly from the pad because I wanted it to be soft. So that's why I went with that. But I did apply 2 coats of that. I have E40, and I'm just giving the ceiling line a bit of a shadow. Super light, super fast, hardly detectable, but it makes me happy. And that, my friends, is the card for today. I hope you love this little haunted home scene card. I hope you give it a try. Use whatever supplies you have and tag me if you make something like this because I'd love to see it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will be back very soon with another video. Be well, stay safe, peace out.